He was a married man. I was in another relationship. The wife then passed on.
I didn't have the sleep. I had a voice. You marry this lady or you die.
Oh, God. I opened up about my past just to scare him. I'm like, I'm barren, But God, of a second chance, gave us the twins.
I don't regret getting Lillian. She has made me a man.
Ipa imani, kila siku kuchapo.
Yes, hello. Naongea na Jen.
Naongea na nani?
Yes, Jen. Tuko hapa kwako tunakata stima. Hii bili yako hujalipa.
Ai, kwani mnakata stima na Friday afternoon?
Yes, madam. Tunafanya kazi kila siku. Lakini usikuwe na wasiwasi. Hapa tunaweza saidiana.
Kims, nikatie stima hii weekend mimi.
Haina wasiwasi. Ukitupatia kama 2k ya lunch, tunaweza acha kukata sisi turudi ofisi.
Mimi niko na 1k tu.
Basi tuma 1500 tumalizane.
Sawa.
Umesikia? Wanajaribu kuchezea Jen hapa game rough kuruka. Sikiza. Hakuna mtu anafaa kukupigia simu akuambia ulipe kitu kidogo ama utoweka kitu ya lunch ati ndio usikatiwe stima. Na kama kuna mtu anakupigia akidai ati kwamba uko na deni, kata hiyo simu haraka.
Oh, kumbe mlikuwa mnataka tu mnione.
Tumekuja kuwashika. Muda boss utamulikwa. Tumekuja kuwashika.
The political higi-haga within ODM continues. When will the dust settle in ODM? And the ongoing drought is affecting human beings as well as livestock. We have details of who else is getting affected and how the government is responding. Good evening, and we are coming up on air with all the day's breaking news from sports to business. My name is O'Brien Kimani. Our sign language interpreter is Lucy Mwaura. We have all the day's details, but first, let's have a look at the highlights.
I remain a loyal member and the duly elected Secretary General of the ODM party.
Relief for Edwin Sifuna as political parties tribunal suspends his ouster as ODM Secretary General. President William Ruto lauds transformation of youth's lives under the Nyota program.
Kufika nikakuta amewawa, amekatwa shingo na Richard Simotwa alikuwa amechinyonga.
Fatal domestic brawl. Man beheads his wife, then takes his own life in Bristol. Cushioning tourism against drought. Focus shift to water conservation and renewable energy strategies. Good evening, and thank you very much for joining us. We're coming to you live from our national headquarters here at Broadcasting House. Edwin Sifuna has received a reprieve after political parties' disputes tribunal quashed his ouster as the ODM party secretary general. The tribunal also stopped any gazettement of Sifuna's replacement until the tribunal hears his case on the 26th of February. The move comes just hours after Sifuna came out blazing that he was going nowhere and that he was still the duly elected Secretary General of the Orange Democratic Party.
Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna can now breathe a sigh of relief after the political party's disputes tribunal came to his rescue on Thursday. the tribunal stopping his Wednesday ouster as Secretary General by the party's National Executive Committee of ODM that sat in Mombasa.
I remain a loyal member and the duly elected Secretary General of the ODM party. At no time have I been informed of any allegations against me, be they of indiscipline.
Sifuna had on Thursday morning marshaled a powerful delegation who included Siaya Governor James Orengo, Yala MP Winnie Odinga, and ODM Deputy Leader Godfrey Sotsi.
There is an attempt to do a hostile takeover of ODM party.
And the meeting that took place in Mombasa was an illegal meeting. That was a kangaroo meeting that was set up.
As I stand here, the Secretary General of the Orange Democratic Movement is Senator Edwin Sifuna.
This is the Oburu Ginga faction that was in Lamu accused retired President Uhuru Kenyatta of using Sifuna to wreck the Orange Democratic Movement.
Shida tuko naye ndani ya chama chetu sio mambo ya broad-based, sio mambo ya serikali ya broad-based, sio mambo ya Ruto. Shida tuko naye kwa chama chetu ni yule former president ambaye anaitwa Uhuru Kenyatta. Huyu ndio anaharibu chama yetu.
Na chama ikifanya uamuzi, mimi kama kiongozi wa chama siwezi enda kinyume na huo uamuzi wa chama ambaye imefanya.
The ODM leaders saying the party is not backing down from supporting the broad-based government. Ousted from office as ODM Secretary General, Edwin Sifuna now vows to fight in all legal fronts, saying surrender is not his option. Giverson Maina, Prime Edition, Nairobi.
And I just want to take you to Vigilance House, the headquarters of the Kenya Police Service, where they have issued a press statement in regard to a security incident that happened today in Wajir County during a presidential event. And this is what the statement says. The National Police Service acknowledges a security incident that occurred today during the National Youth Opportunities Towards Advancement Nyota event in Wajir County. The event was graced by His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya and the Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces. The NPS wishes to state unequivocally that at no time was the safety of His Excellency the President, other dignitaries or members of the public was compromised. The Presidential Security Team and other officers on the ground acted with the utmost professionalism and speed to de-escalate the situation and restore order. The individual involved was swiftly apprehended and the event proceeded without further interruption. The Inspector General of Police, Mr. Douglas Kanja, has formed a team to conduct an inquiry into the matter within 3 days to identify any procedural gaps that may have contributed to this breach and to take immediate remedial measures. The National Police Service wishes to reassure the public that it remains steadfast in its commitment to serve and protect. That is a statement signed by Moshiri Nyaga, the Director of Corporate Communications at the National Police Service. And this is in regard to a security incident that happened today in Wajir County during a Nyota program. And the Kenya Police Service says that it is now going to probe that incident, and a report is going to be made public within the next 3 days. We'll keep you posted on what's happening. Let's now move to Wajir County. Well, President William Ruto has told off those criticizing his direct involvement in the rollout of the National Youth Opportunities Towards Advancement Capital program. President Ruto, who was in Mandera and Wajir County, said the program is the most consequential that aims to transform the lives of young Kenyans, with 120,000 youths benefiting from the project so far.
At Mandera Stadium, President William Ruto led the disbursement of 63 million shillings to 2,520 youth from the county. The head of state said the move is a clear indication that his administration is keen on youth empowerment, financial inclusion and job creation.
Unasikia viongozi wengine Wanajaribu kusema ati rais anapoteza wakati kwenda program ya Nyota. Ati rais amepoteza wakati kuja Mandera program ya Nyota. Kwa sababu mentality yao ni ya zamani. Wanafikiria ya kwamba vijana wetu bado wako AOB.
Ile mfumo ilikuwa inabagua wananchi wa Northern Kenya ya mambo ya kupata vitambulisho na passport. Ulitoa hiyo ubaguzi.
Additionally, the president reiterated the government's commitment to reducing the unemployment crisis in the country.
Na nyinyi vijana wa Kenya, mimi nataka niwaeleze, for the first time we have an intentional, credible, practical program for the young people of our nation.
Later, President Ruto concluded the first phase of Nyota disbursement to 2,540 youths in Wajir County at the Wajir Stadium. The president announcing that 120,000 youth have so far received their startup capital under the Nyota program. Leaders who were in attendance urged the youth to use the funds responsibly and generate more from their businesses.
Sisi kama State Department MSME tumejipanga vilivyo. Tuko na program nyingine inaitwa KJET. Hii mtaweza pata mkopo.
Hii mradi wa Nyota, Your Excellency, ukasema kwamba hutoi mkopo kwa vijana. Wewe unatoa pesa ambayo ni grant, ni bure kwao, wakajipange wafanye biashara.
Kasichana Masha, Prime Edition.
Still on Nyota program, where President William Ruto says the government has allocated 10 billion shillings to buy relief food and livestock feeds, saying the move will ensure no one dies of starvation. The head of state, who was in Mandera and Wajir counties, said the government is seeking a long-lasting solution to address the drought menace through a national infrastructure fund to construct 50 mega dams and 1,000 micro dams to help the irrigation of 2.5 million acres for food production.
Speaking in Mandera County, Northern Kenya, during the Nyota disbursement program, the head of state, in a thinly veiled attack to his former deputy Rigathi Gachagua, said those who stole relief food have been sacked and therefore have no moral authority to lecture the government over distribution of relief food to Kenyans affected by drought.
Wewe ulifutwa kazi kwa kuiba relief food. Alafu unakuja kutuongelesha mambo ya relief food. Wewe, you are the last person, the least qualified, with no moral authority to tell anybody anything on matters food relief.
The head of state said the government has come up with a comprehensive delivery of relief food as a short-term measure to address famine in northern Kenya, among other parts of the country affected by drought.
Mimi nataka niwaeleze watu wa Mandera, we are moving together with you, musikwe na wasiwasi. Short-term program ni hii ya kudistribute chakula na hay. Lakini long-term, pia mimi niko na solution ya long-term.
As a long-term measure to address perennial drought, Ruto said under the National Infrastructure Fund, the government plans to construct 50 mega dams, 200 medium ones, and 1,000 micro dams nationwide to pave way for the irrigation of at least 2.5 million acres. The president noted that a significant number of these dams will be built in the northern eastern region to address the persistent water shortage and support irrigation. Michael Mondiga for Prime Edition.
Let's now move to the halls of Senate, where the Senate has vowed to continue holding county chiefs accountable over the use of public funds, dismissing attempt by the Council of Governors to boycott appearances before its watchdog committees. In a communication to the House, Speaker Amason Kingi ruled that resolution by governors to suspend appearances before the County Public Accounts Committee and limit engagement with the Senate committees violate the spirit of devolution. And as announced, he plans for a meeting with the governors in a fortnight. Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna, one of the 4 accused of extortion, threatened legal action against the governors.
Kenyans need to be outraged by the kind of reports and the kind of stories that come out of the Senate, by the kind of revelations that are coming out of these committees. But what do our governors do? The proverbial thief who turns round and accuses the pursuer that he's the thief. We have had 2 weeks of exposés, Mr. Speaker, not our invention, not fiction, based on audit reports. What are the governors trying to do? Deflect attention and make the Senate look like they are the thieves. Yet they are the ones with documented where there is evidence, where there is proper reports of theft.
Na niambie wenzangu waliotajwa ya kwamba wasijali kwa sababu ya kuzungumzwa. Sifa nzuri inakuanga ni ya marehemu peke yake. Kwa hivyo sisi tutasemwa. Kwa sababu kazi lazima tutaifanya. Mr. Speaker, kuna kazi ambayo tumepewa kuweza kuangalia na sana sana kamati ya uhasibu. Na unajua Murina haogopi nyuki. Kama anaogopa nyuki hakuna venye anaweza pata asali. Na kwa hivyo wakati kamati ya uhasibu inafanya kazi, msiogope kusema, atasema. Na mimi ningekuambia mwenyekiti, mtu akija amekosea, fieka.
This is a coordinated war against Edwin Sifuna. You people know me. You have seen me at work. The Kenyan public knows me. Those governors that are making those allegations, we will meet them in court. In court, because it is very defamatory for you to stand up and say, I have extorted you. If I have ever extorted you, you bring the evidence for the Kenyans to be able to see.
Let's now talk about water matters, where the Kenya Water Institute and the Royal Danish Embassy have signed a memorandum of understanding to establish a Danish Water Center of Excellence at the institution. The center will help bridge the gap between academic training and industrial application that has hindered the pace of digital transformation in the water subsector. Speaking during the signing of the MOU, the institution's Chief Executive Officer Dr. Leiro Letangule and the Royal Danish Ambassador Stephen Skorman said the partnership aligns with KEWI's mandate in capacity development, research, innovation and technology transfer with Danish expertise, infrastructure as well as technologies. The collaboration aims to support public and private water sanitation as well as irrigation utilities and will provide a platform for consortium entry and access to the local and international water sectors.
Jobs in Kenya's water sector by ensuring that our youth possess modern and marketable skills. Furthermore, we are working to formalize the labor market through the recognition of prior learning programs and recognition of thousands of technicians who are out there and who need formal certification.
What you're doing with Danish industry, what we are doing with other Kenyan institutions within the water sector, what Danish companies are already doing within water in Kenya, all this should come together and turn around this partnership that we start today. Establishing a center of excellence that can help students, that can inspire new solutions.
Now listen to this, a very sad incident where authorities in Sirikwa Ward, Kuresoi constituency, are investigating a murder and suicide case where a 60-year-old man beheaded his 51-year-old wife and took his own life following a domestic dispute. The bodies of the couple were discovered in their homestead by residents who were left in disbelief. The incident comes barely a week after another individual died in the same area following a domestic brawl.
Residents of Sirikwa Ward woke up in shock at the discovery of the body of 60-year-old Richard Simoto and his 51-year-old wife Junita Simoto. The couple are said to have quarreled before the man killed his significant other and took his own life. The circumstances that led to the two deaths left the neighbors in disbelief.
Nikaambiwa sasa my sister ambaye ni Junita amewawa. Kufika nikakuta amewawa, amekatwa shingo na Richard Simoto alikuwa amechinyonga.
Wao walikuwa wanakuwa na ugomvi kila wakati. Walikuwa wanagombana wao kwa wao.
All they could say was an appeal to couples to resolve their differences amicably instead of resorting to violence.
Kwa kijiji ni lazima tukiwa na shida, tukiwa wamama ama wazee, lazima tupate mawaida kwa watu wagongwa ama tuende kwa serikali ndio tuokolewe.
Tunahimiza kwamba wanakijiji tutatue mambo, tuberekee wenzetu, majirani zetu ili iweze kutatuliwa.
Police have launched investigations into the matter. Yusuf reporting for Prime Edition.
And of course, it's always good to remember domestic violence is never a resolution for disputes within marriage. I mean, people must always sit down and dialogue. The Ministry of Education has forwarded the school data verification report to the Teachers Service Commission and the Directorate of Criminal Investigations for action against school heads and education officials implicated in enrollment discrepancies. 14 heads of institutions have been cited for failing or refusing to submit learners' data for verification, while 20 others are accused of submitting inflated enrollment figures.
The school data verification report released by Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Migos Ogamba follows a nationwide verification exercise that began on September 1st, 2025. The findings reveal discrepancies across all levels of basic education. In primary schools, enrollment captured in NEMIS stood at 5,833,175 learners. However, verified enrollment was established at 4,947,271, a negative variance of 885,904 learners. Junior schools recorded 2,430,398 learners in NEMIS, while verified figures stood at 2,973,648, reflecting a variance of 543,250 learners. In secondary schools, 3,352,884 learners were recorded in the system, compared to a verified enrollment of 3,265,154, a variance of 87,730 learners.
This report will be forwarded to the Teacher Service Commission for appropriate administrative action against 14 heads of institutions for failure or refusal to submit data for verification. Number 2, 20 heads of institutions for submitting inflated student enrollment data.
The report also identified 10 secondary schools and 17 primary schools that were non-operational but continued to appear in the NEMIS system.
Funding of the affected learners will only be restored upon verification of their existence.
The ministry says the measures are aimed at protecting public resources, strengthening accountability, and restoring integrity in education data management. Jacqueline Masharia for Prime Edition.
And you know for sure that you're watching the Prime Edition with me, O'Brien Kimani. We're coming to you live from Broadcasting House. Our critical conversation will be coming up shortly. And tonight we are focusing on the role of ICT in economic transformation here in Kenya. I have a team of preeminent Kenyans who will be helping us to go through this conversation. We're taking a short break. Thereafter, we'll be coming back with more stories.
Halo, habari ndugu. Unaongea na Joffrey hapa.
Habari Joffrey.
Mimi nakupigia kuhusu ile request yako ya kupata connection ya stima. Sisi tunaweza kufanyia deal, ulipe pesa kidogo tu na sisi tukuharakishie connection yako.
Utanisaidia sana bwana Joffrey.
Sisi tutafanya mambo iwe rahisi. Kwa kawaida utalipa 100,000 na utangojea siku mingi. Lakini ukitoa 20,000 saa hii tunakuconnectia ukuwe na stima hata kesho.
Natuma saa hii.
We, hao matapeli wamekuja sana. Connection ya stima hufuata process. Hakuna shortcut. Shortcut ni ya wakora. Malipo yote ya Kenya Power hupitia channels rasmi peke yake.
We mzee, hizo ni gani unajaribu kunifanyia?
Tumekuja kuwashika. Muda boss utamulikwa. Tumekuja kuwashika.
Tumaini hawezi kukubali mtoto asiyekuwa wake, na ndio maana nakuhitaji.
Hapo awali mimi nilimjua mke wangu, lakini nimempoteza.
Mimi sitaki chochote kutoka kwa baba yako. Wasikia? Na kama wataka wakili wangu mwandikie wakili wako, atafanya hivyo. Niondokee, utashanga saizi. Hii si nyumba yako, usitaki kunifukuza. Sasa. Nini?
She's called Pastor Lillian Nyongesa Nabuleje.
Dream of every woman. Yes. Pastor Richard Nyongesa. First, we've met as ministers. We were serving together. Then he was a married man. I was in another relationship. The wife then passed on.
I didn't have sleep. I had a voice. You marry this lady or you die.
Oh, God. I opened up about my past just to scare him. I'm like, I'm barren, you know. But God, of a second chance, gave us the twins.
I don't regret getting Lillian. She has made me a man.
Ipa imani kila siku kuchapo.
Welcome back. Time now for business news, where tourism facilities should adopt water conservation and renewable energy strategies amid negative impact of climate change in key natural attraction sites. Tourism Cabinet Secretary Rebecca Miano says there is need to build capacity in crisis management to cushion the tourism industry from shocks such as drought.
Severe drought has left more than 2 million Kenyans facing hunger, with northeastern communities affected the most.
The mountains, to the beaches, to the natural heritage like wildlife, to the adventure that we see, the champions that are born in places like Kenya. With all that, there are things that just come and shut down all that beauty.
The tourism industry is also reeling from the adverse weather patterns that have affected ecosystems, infrastructure and services.
Because we will never eliminate all these things that affect tourism, but preparedness and the way you respond are key.
The Cabinet Secretary says rising temperatures and changes in precipitation patterns threaten Kenya's biodiversity and attractiveness.
Jamaica has really done well in being the champions of crisis management and resilience. And we look forward to the conversations that are being brought to Nairobi by the whole world. And Jamaica, represented by the minister, will bring for us all the lessons, what they have done in terms of crisis management.
The 4th Global Tourism Resilience Day Conference and Expo will be held next week in Nairobi, drawing over 400 delegates, making it the first time that the UN-anchored event is being hosted in Africa. Regina Manyara reporting for Prime Edition.
Let's talk about ICT, where ongoing construction of digital hubs is meant to enhance internet access, digital skills training and online work opportunities. Speaking during the launch of the Jitume ICT Hub in Makuyu, Murang'a County, Information Communications and the Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary William Kabogo says the facilities are meant to expand digital access and enhance access to government services and opportunities.
The Jitume ICT hubs are part of the government's broader digital transformation strategy aimed at decentralizing access to technology and internet services across all the 1,450 wards in Kenya. The digital hubs are expected to expand internet access, be a platform for digital skills training, and enhance online job opportunities.
Tumeamrishwa na Mheshimiwa Rais tujenge digital hubs kila mmoja katika kila wodi. Na yale Mheshimiwa Maua umeuliza katika wodi zako tayari tuko line, na tushukuru wabunge kwa sababu wanatusaidia kuzijenga hizi digital hubs.
The Cabinet Secretary said the government is keen on ensuring no region is left behind in the country's digital transformation agenda, adding that expansion of fiber connectivity in rural areas is ongoing. The Makuyu ICT Hub is expected to be completed in the coming months, joining other similar facilities being rolled out across the country as part of efforts to position Kenya as a competitive digital economy hub in the region. Trevor Ngendo for Prime Edition.
Well, and that is the backbone of our conversation tonight. We want to look at the contribution of ICT to Kenya's economy. economic transformation. I have two distinguished gentlemen who are in the studio who are going to help us and guide us in this critical conversation, and one of them is a familiar face on on this screen, and of course he's a major driver of ICT industry here in Kenya. I'm talking about Engineer John Tanui. He's the Principal Secretary in the State Department for ICT and Digital Economy. He's on my immediate left. Thank you very much indeed, Engineer PS, for joining us tonight.
Thank you, O'Brien. It's a great pleasure to be here.
Wonderful. And next to the PS, we have Professor Washington Yoto Ochieng. He's an independent council member at Kenya Advanced Institute of Science, better known as KAIST. Did I get it right?
You did. Thank you very much, Brian. I'm delighted to be here.
Very good. I want to start with the PS. When you look at the space of ICT in Kenya's economic transformation, where is it positioned?
ICT is quite critical and at the center of our country's economic transformation. ICT has played a big role through the connectivity to the rest of the world, connectivity to our counties, down now to what we are having under part of the digital superhighway, and also the digitization that is taking place in government, what we've done in the e-citizen, what we are doing in healthcare to use technology to achieve digital transformation, to see also the new emerging areas that Kenya has started assembly of devices. We have now 7 million capacity of smartphone assembly in Kenya, which was not there before. We are able to manufacture fiber for connectivity from the country. And we are seeing setup of data centers in the country now with over 19 data centers already in the country. So the digital and ICT infrastructure is playing a very critical role indeed. When you look at the kind of investment that the government is putting into this industry, is it paying off? Yes, it does. When you see the investment that has been over the years, it has put Kenya in the front. And that is why we tag the Silicon Savannah to represent our innovation ecosystem. If you check also the contribution of our mobile money sector, the impact on our SMEs, the ease of transactions, the facilitation to Mama Mboka through ease of payment of transaction, that is the power of technology, and relying on the huge investment the government and the private sector has already played. When you check e-citizen platform, which currently has over 16 million people on that platform, every day over 500,000 people logging in, and means these people would have walked to an office. Now they do not need to travel to any office. Again, all the transactions and payments are visible on digital platform. This removes loopholes, removes avenues for corruption, and ensures that there is transparency and also better quality of service to our citizens. So there is huge value in these investments.
I know your ministry has been a key driver of digitization and digitalization within the public service. I'll be coming back to you to find out how far are we in this endeavor and how is it contributing to proper public service. I just want to turn on to Professor. You come from one of the most critical, what I would call a critical institution in Kenya's ICT agenda as well as technology, and this is KAIST. I was there last year and I saw now the facility is waiting now commissioning. Where are we in operationalizing KAIST in Kenya?
Thank you very much, O'Brien. If you don't mind, let me just backtrack a little bit, just to contextualize for our viewers. So there are a number of key pillars in the journey of a country to transformation. And the first one is what I call critical national infrastructure. And for example, water, energy, communications, and so on. These are the basic things that a country needs to function. And then the second thing is talent, that's people. And if you have the resources and governance, then things actually work. So the role of digital infrastructure, and you mentioned ICT, is pivotal. It is simply the backbone of a modern, global, interconnected economy, of which Kenya is a key player. And I think for the first time, at least in my lifetime, the government has linked very tightly its destiny in terms of uplifting the quality and the standards of living of people, of its citizens, to its vision, 2030, and of course there's the beta, particularly creative economy of the digital superhighway. These are all linked to the Kenya Advanced Institute for Science and Technology, Kenya ICT, as we call it. And so I'm delighted actually to be a part and parcel of it. The facilities, the laboratories, the classrooms, effectively done. So we're now moving to the next step, which is to bring the next layer, which is the talent, the people. And we should be moving pretty short and swiftly, actually. And one of the reasons I was here was basically to, together with my council colleagues and the Secretariat, to go to Konza to look at the stage at which we are. And I'm delighted to report to our Kenyans that their brand new university, world-class university by any standards. By the way, when I say this, I'm speaking from a position of authority, because I come from the world's second best university, which is Imperial College London. So I have a good reference with which to compare. And I think...
I can back you up, because I have seen it.
You've seen it. And, and therefore, I think the government is to be congratulated in terms of its effort to really move this country forward. And just to, a final point to finish on is that I am in town. I'm based in London. I've been living in London for the last 36 years.
Whoa.
And obviously doing a lot back home. And I'm running something called the Green Skills Symposium as the chairman of the Royal Academy of Engineering's Africa, or Engineers Program, or the Steering Committee of African Engineers, together with the United Nations Environmental Program, the Royal Society, and so on. And where are we running it? You've got 25 countries represented in Nairobi, in Kenya. Why? Because partly the digital infrastructure, ICT, is world leading as far as I'm concerned.
Here in Kenya.
Here in Kenya. So I think the summary really is that Kenya ICT, and we call it Kenya ICT as opposed to KAIST, because of the KAIST in South Korea.
In South Korea.
Yeah, it's actually, let me just summarize by saying it's simply world leading by any comparison across the globe. So everyone involved, including my colleagues, the council members, are to be congratulated, but most importantly, the government and the leadership of our engineer PS, Tanui, who has been at the forefront of working with us to get it to where we are and beyond.
Very good. And the beauty about Tanui is that you know, he comes with tremendous experience, because he has been involved in Kenya's ICT space for many years. He was the CEO of the Konza Technopolis when the dream and the idea of starting the Kenya ICT was started, and so he's very critical in this conversation. And the beauty of this is that you know, we have policymakers and academia, you know, on the same platform. And I want to find out from you, is there any empirical evidence from an academic point of view that there is a correlation between ICT development and socio-economic development?
Very, very much so. And that's why I said it's simply the backbone of a modern economy. You know why? Because we talk about advancements, let alone the networks, let alone the servers, cloud services, and so on. But we're actually now going into low Earth orbits. Yeah? We have non-terrestrial networks. And so we are living in an increasingly interconnected world, and that means supply chains. Yeah? So if you want to be a player, you really have to be connected. And so the beauty of all of this is that the Kenyan government is putting that particular backbone, right, in its development agenda, and evidentially so, you can actually see in the kind of you know, reception that Kenya is receiving, and also the way that the world is actually connecting to Kenya. One of my close colleagues is called Philip Thigo, who is, I think, the Kenya government's tech
advisor on ICT.
Exactly. And, you know, recently there's the AI hub, and there are so many activities that are taking place in this country. And I think Wananchi should realize that there's a very good reason for that, because the country is increasingly becoming a hub, not just for ICT, but everything else associated with those critical infrastructure sectors that I spoke about. So I think the country is on its way to Singapore.
to Singapore.
Yes.
I want to hear this. I mean, we've been talking about Singapore. The president has been talking about Singapore. Singapore is one of the most technologically driven economy in the world. I think it ranks number 4 in the world. Kenya's aspiration are to become like Singapore. Bwana PS, what are we doing to get to that position here in Africa?
One, we have a very clear plan. If you check the plan that brought this government into office, the plan, it has a very clear strategy on economic transformation and focusing on the 5 areas. And indeed, results can be seen. When you look at the agriculture, we have moved towards being food sufficient as a country. There are sectors that we were highly dependent on imports. Today, we can say with planning and also focus subsidy provision using technology, we've been able to enhance our food production. I'm told even this year, food production, especially maize, outweighs or higher than all the other years. That was a planned action. There was commitment to create jobs, and affordable housing was one such initiative. Today, this is one of the biggest development projects across the country. And if you look similar initiatives, there is an institution in South Korea called Land and Housing, LNH. It started similarly, just building houses like what we are seeing today. Today, it's such a big contributor to South Korea's economy, and housing creates huge jobs, impacts the industrial aspect in terms of products that are manufactured for use for housing. So we are on a journey that is really leading us to our first world. We also look at unlocking opportunities in the digital space. We've gone out of our way to address any limitations in policy, regulation to attract investment. We add limiting regulations like limitation on local ownership, which was removed so that we can attract global investment. We've seen companies like Amazon Web Services settle in Kenya. Last few weeks, we've seen also companies like Oracle set up their regional data center, one of the 3 data centers of that level in the continent. We've seen business processing outsourcing centers come to the country, including the world's #1. So we can see new things which were not there before. I mentioned that the manufacture of devices, which before was not there. This is an electronic industry. It is starting simple, in a simple way, but electronic industry has what has shaped South Korea or the Asian tigers. And we hope this sector will one day contribute significantly in terms of a percentage to our GDP. And now
how much is it contributing now? The last figures I checked was about 9%.
When you look at the plan, we've been discussing with many stakeholders, and we're looking at how do we move the sector from about $7 billion to about $100 billion probably within 10 years. It is possible, and the foundational things are actually what we are addressing, whether it is data centers to make sure we unlock that potential, attract investment, make sure the country is connected globally, submarine cables, allowing the private sector to have ease of entry to this country so that they can invest. And talking about Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, which Professor Yoto is one of the board members. And I must say I was impressed when I visited the Royal Imperial College in UK. It's one of the best global universities in the world. And looking at the foundation we have laid at Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, indeed, this is going to be one of the vehicles that will accelerate our economic development as a country towards a first world. Because being a first world, we need to move towards what we call knowledge economy. And it means now we need to build talent. We need to build capabilities for intellectual property rights that can be commercialized within the country. We need to see the rise of startups. We need to see the contribution of technology. And we are very happy with what the private sector is doing, what our global partners are doing with us. We are seeing establishment of innovation centers. Recently, we have the setup of Tumbuktu Green Tech at concert with UNDP. We have others in Mombasa, Vestavele House, with the support of the German government. So we are creating the foundations which will be actually the drivers to drive our country towards a first world.
Very well. I mean, you're watching this conversation live from Broadcasting House. We're taking a short break. We're in the company of Engineer John Tanui, the PS in the State Department for ICT and Digital Economy, as well as Professor Washington Ochieng, who is a council member at Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. We are back in a while.
One day, while teaching an oral healthcare class, I saw a little boy who kept covering his mouth. It turns out he had lost some of his teeth and felt embarrassed. But as a hygienist, a child's smile means everything to me. That's why Colgate Maximum Cavity Protection unlocks 24-hour cavity defense, a formula boosted with calcium for lifelong smiles. Every child has the right to smile, and a beautiful smile is a healthy smile.
Colgate, #1 oral care brand in the world.
Live from Broadcasting House, Nairobi, Kenya, this is KBC English Service.
Listen to the radio. Oh, listen.
The UN Secretary General USAN has arrived in Monrovia.
Started in 1928, the KBC English service is proudly the station of the nation and the mother of radio in Kenya. The heritage brand Sundowner remains the undisputed #1 early evening show. As we celebrate the unique value of radio on World Radio Day 2026, the Sundowner Sunset Date is coming home.
Rock me, babe.
We invite you to come and enjoy the show right from Broadcasting House, live, and interact with your favorite presenters of the station on Friday, the 13th of February 2026, starting from 4 p.m. till late. Entry is free. It's a date this Friday at the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation on Harithuku Road, Nairobi.
Rock me till I want no more. There's a feeling of love inside me.
Mambo ya kuungua na moshi ambapo mke tuko naye huyu. Nishakwambia wakati wowote, saa yoyote, njoo, na kama una njaa mwambie Amina chochote unachotaka kupikia. Huyu ni kama bibi yako pia.
Unaweza kuwa wewe ni mzuri, uolewe na mwingine bongolala. Siwezi kutoka siku moja nikupeleke picnic. Uende ujionee, jionee hata tupitie mahali kama hizo zinauzwa.
Sasa leo wewe wananiambia twende mimi na wewe picnic. Wataka kunivunjia nyumba yangu masanduku. Taona ulimletea bibi hapa karibu.
Bibi nani?
Mimi je?
Yaani mimi sijui kumbe masanduku ashakuoa. Baba hawezi kutoka paka leo ni mchafue.
Hapana.
Hapana.
Welcome back. You're watching the Prime Edition. We're looking at the contribution of technology and ICT to Kenya's economic transformation. I told you in the company of PS Engineer John Tanui, the PS in charge of State Department for ICT and Digital Economy, as well as Professor Washington Ochieng, who is a council member of Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. I mean, before we went for the break, I just wanted to find out, you see, when you look at mobile money, Kenya is a global leader with about 99, almost 100% of Kenyans, they have one form of mobile money or the other. And the government has been very deliberate in going cashless. The private sector has not been very keen. How do we incentivize the private sector also to move to the cashless platform?
I think there is quite a lot of efforts to ensure we build a more cashless economy. One, it creates ease of transparency and even ease of transaction. And the government has made the first step to ensure all transaction with its citizens can be done cashless without having to carry any cash. And that is the first incentive. So if you want to pay for any of the services from government, you do not need to carry any cash. So that is the first incentive. Secondly, our banking sector is actually matured and it's growing. Now we have banking applications that you can actually transact with your app with your phone without having to carry any cash. We have also really a big network with the mobile network, mobile money infrastructure, which enables citizens to easily translate the cash to digital or digital to cash. That also makes it easy for that. And also now we are looking at how to grow what we call digital market. We are planning to have Connected Africa Summit, the 15th edition, 27th to 30th of this month. And the theme will be actually the digital market. So we are looking at how to grow the e-commerce sector. And the e-commerce driving is largely will be driven by digital payments. And we are very happy with what also our central bank has done. It has been very forward-looking in terms of its regulation, legislation. And we have a large number of PSPs now registered with various options. And recently also we're working on crypto so that we can bring also digital assets. So the country is laying the necessary foundation to make our country move forward. And you will be seeing even new emerging platforms that will probably lower more cost and even make it more convenient for our SMEs to transact cashless.
Very well. Prof, I want to hear this from you. I mean, you come from a very highly industrialized and advanced economy in the name of a United Kingdom. And when you look at Kenya, which is aspiring to become a developed economy in the not so distant future, and when you look at the way our economy is architectured, do you see us putting efforts where it ought to be towards driving Kenya into that highly advanced economy?
Yes, thank you very much, Brian. Let me be a little bit philosophical with it, which is that there is a concept that I refer to as the whole of society systems approach. What that actually means is that the problem we're dealing with is fairly complex, and so understanding of the big picture is quite important, architecturizing that before you then start working within it. What that actually means is that if you then start doing little things, at least you can bolt them back into the wider architecture. And I think from what I can see, the government is doing the right things in that respect, in terms of coming up with the vision, right, and implementing that in what I refer to as a functional architecture. And that then means that if you then go and work on the digitization of infrastructure, including the economy, it finds its place in the wider ecosystem, which is a multi-stakeholder thing. And it's very refreshing when you're in Kenya to hear about participatory approaches to inclusive development, which means that no one is left behind. So I would say that I think the country is on a good road in that respect. And also to say that when it comes to digital, anything digital, we talk about it always as if it's all positive.
Yeah.
We must be cognizant of the fact that there are serious threats when it comes to things like advanced analytics, like artificial intelligence. But we also must talk about security and resilience, particularly cyber security. You are talking about how you incentivize banks, you incentivize people to go digital, even in terms of currency. If I'm not convinced of the cyber security, for example, of that digital infrastructure, then clearly I would not be using it. So I think it's also very important for us to articulate the threats, right? Not just the good points, and then to be able to say what we are doing about them. That's very important. And that's the kind of thing that is done in industrialized countries to get a buy-in within that wider ecosystem. Let me just emphasize that the threats that we face as the world, there are 5, in my view, 5 threats, and maybe your viewers can give me feedback as to what they think about Washington's vectors. I worry about environmental threats. So the Green Skills Symposium is actually addressing that dimension. I worry about natural biological threats. I mean, not too long ago we had the pandemic. We have almost forgotten what happens with COVID, what happened with COVID.
About 5 years ago.
Exactly. And then you have physical threats. We are used to this, bombs and things. And then we have a social threat, that's where, O'Brien, you and me come in. You know, we're people, the social dimension.
Yeah. And
But
then
then,
you have things like cybercrime and all that.
correct. And then you have this whole thing about cyber, right? So how much are we actually looking at our digital infrastructure from the perspective of cyber threats? And so what I'm saying is that we need to espouse something that takes all of those 5 vectors together. I call it societal resilience.
Societal resilience.
Yeah.
And,
So,
and the bit,
we need to be talking more about these kinds of things. And I believe, obviously being on the inside with respect to Kenya East and so on, and the fact that you have the Technopolis, you have the university, there will be companies, startups, there will also be other components in there. And that particular region, the Silicon Savannah, then becomes the hotbed, if you like, for transporting us going forward.
I like the fact that you have raised, critical issues, even as we continue in our technological advancement, as well as, adoption of more technology into our economic transformation. And we have seen the impact of what criminals can do with technology to harm and to ruin societies. And I want to hear this from the peers, from a policy perspective. What is the government doing to firewall all the technology that we are deploying in the Kenyan space?
So it's true, we have undertaken huge digitalization programs. We mentioned eCitizen, the transformation in the health sector. We have over 29 million people registered on the digital health platform. And this platform is enabling all kind of transaction and engagement in the healthcare. This is a powerful tool. We have also enhanced the connectivity across the country. We have opened up Wi-Fi's, and we are unlocking even more opportunities for young people to connect to this digital space. So indeed, there are many points of attack that cannot occur. So it's good that we talk about also the risk and the potential. And the first one is awareness training. So to ensure that all the users of the digital infrastructure are aware of the risks that exist in the digital space. And most of the biggest risk is actually the user themselves. If they are not aware of the do's and the don'ts and how to protect yourself, the way you do in the physical space. In physical space, we know how to cross the street, we know how to do whatever you need to do. In the digital space, it's the same. What kind of password are you using on your credentials? How are you logging into the systems? Do you have a limited period that you must change your passwords? Those are the simple things. Secondly, we must have a strong team that are cybersecurity experts. So we must train experts who will now ensure that when we design a digital infrastructure, we inbuild resilience, cybersecurity capabilities to secure security from design. So that team also needs to respond in case of actual attack. And when you are able to do that, then you have built the fast approach. What we are doing is also putting the right policies in place to ensure that we have cybersecurity policies for the country. We have at the cabinet recently approved the establishment of a dedicated agency which will ensure that its focus is only cybersecurity. Yeah. We already have other agencies regarding regulation in the telecommunication sector, that's Communications Authority. We have an agency responsible for data protection, personal data protection, that is the office that ensures our personal data is protected, and it's also good lays the foundation for security. So this new agency will actually help us to be dedicated and focus on securing our country. The other positive thing is that this is an emerging space. And when you check online and find how many job opportunities are there for cybersecurity, you find there are 3.5 million and above. So it's also opportunity that there are careers that are required to ensure that we are we require people to secure. So we want also to develop capabilities there, and that's why we have KAIST, we have other universities that are actually training cybersecurity experts, and they are working here in the country, and others even able to get opportunities across the world.
Very well.
Yeah.
Prof, I want to hear this from you because we're almost coming to the close of this conversation. When you look at the deployment of technology, the advancement in ICT infrastructure in Kenya, where do you see us going by the time we get to the year 2030?
I think we'll be a long way down the developmental route. Remember, we are building an enabler. And so we must look at it also from a socio-economic impact perspective. And that takes me back to my whole of society ecosystem. Mm-hmm. So technologically speaking, I think I expect to see much more self-sufficiency thanks to institutions like Kenya ICT. So that is very important because we don't want to be always importing labor. So being self-sufficient is one of the key ingredients of a country's development agenda. And I think I'd just like to say that in my considered opinion, over the years, I think this very close linkage between a country's vision and its institutions, such as Kenya ICT, to me is a game changer. Yeah. And so my plea is that we make this work. We make Kenya ICT work. We make the Technopolis work. We make that Silicon Savannah work. And in 2030, I'm not so sure about Singapore. I think we will be overtaking Singapore by then.
Which is 4 years from now.
This is what I'm thinking, right? Given the foundation that has actually been set.
Very well.
And remember, I'm saying this from the outside in a developed world looking inside.
Very good.
Thank you.
Bwana PS, as we wind up, where do you see this technology-driven economic transformation taking us in the next 4 years?
I think we are laying a very solid foundation for economic transformation of our country. We are building a digital government. We are creating a digital society. Earlier on, you saw our cabinet secretary launching a digital hub in central Kenya. And this is what we are doing across the country, unlocking opportunities for our young people, ensuring there are spaces that our people can access for skilling themselves, opportunities for them to find jobs online, also opportunities to embark on entrepreneurship, that they can open new digital jobs. We are also addressing the necessary policies that we can attract more investment in our country. We want to be a data hub, that we can attract more data centers into our country so that we can create more quality jobs for our engineers, ICT professionals. We also want to see manufacturing. We want to see the electronic industry rise in Kenya.
Well.
I saw today some team visiting the Kimani University. They are working on semiconductors. This is a global key area that people are discussing, and Kenya is in the center of it. So you can expect that in the next 4 years, Kenya will have made quite good strides towards a fast one.
Very good. Distinguished gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for joining us tonight and for helping us understand where we are in terms of driving economic transformation through technology here in Kenya. This is phase one. We need to have the second round. Probably, maybe we need a town hall and we go to Kenya ICT.
Probably, yeah.
Very good. Thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Brian.
Very good. Let's move on where Cabinet Secretary Opiyo Wandayi of Energy and Petroleum and Eric Muga of Water and Irrigation are calling on Parliament to fast-track ratification of South Lokichar Field Development Plan and the production sharing contract to pave way for the Gulf Energy to commence crude oil production. The two cabinet secretaries assured the Joint Parliamentary Committee on Energy the pending enablers will be put in place once the contractor moves to site. And as Geshoki Bashira reports, the MPs are concerned about the role of government that will play in the crude oil project.
Energy committees from the Senate and the National Assembly were keen on the field development plan and production sharing contract for the South Lokichar oil project, two crucial documents awaiting ratification of Parliament in order for the Gulf Energy to commence production. Water Cabinet Secretary said there was sufficient water in Takwel Dam to serve the crude oil fields, communities and irrigate at least 10,000 acres.
the dam without recharge, when completely full, can supply that volume and produce hydroelectric power for 11 years without recharge.
MPs taking Muga to task on how the ministry intends to implement its plan without a budget. The Energy Cabinet Secretary appealed to Parliament to ratify the two crucial documents to enable the contractor move on site.
I want to appeal to you, Honourable Chairs and members, once again, to kindly consider ratifying this field development plan and the associated production sharing contracts.
Oil is a security item, and the government needs to have a hand in an oil production like this one, which we want to have for the first time in our country. How can you leave it completely in the hands of private investor?
Is there any setup mechanism for the communities in Turkana to benefit from the share?
Is it necessary that the function of audit be left to EPRA, or the function of audit can be better off done by a more competent entity?
Kenya targets to start exporting crude oil this December. As the government endeavors to unlock potential of Lokicha oil project, it is clear there are still many questions than answers among parliamentarians regarding the implementation of the project, as well as how the interests of Kenyans will be protected. Gishoki Washira, Prime Edition, Nairobi.
We need to dig that oil out of the ground. And I join in US President Donald Trump. We need to dig, baby, dig. All right? Yep. So let's go to Kilifi County, where Marafa, often referred to as the Hell's Kitchen, is a geological marvel that captivates visitors with its vibrant, multicolored rock formations and dramatic deep gorges. The destination, ideal for picnicking and hiking. This week on Magical Scenes, we focus on the Hell's Kitchen.
Located in the heart of Kilifi County, the Hell's Kitchen stands out as one of the best places to celebrate love, owing to its breathtaking landscapes and stunning natural beauty. The mishmash of colors range from deep reds to warm oranges and soft yellows, creating a mesmerizing backdrop that is perfect for strolls and beautiful moments alike. February in Marafa is particularly enchanting as the region enjoys mild temperatures and clear skies, making it an ideal time for exploration and adventure. The gentle breeze and warm sun provide the perfect weather for visitors to immerse themselves in the natural wonders of this extraordinary destination. For those seeking out of the ordinary experience, Marafa offers a range of activities. You would begin your day with a sunrise hike where the soft morning light casts a golden glow over the landscape. As you descend into the heart of the gorge, let the serene beauty of the surroundings inspire moments of reflection and connection. In the afternoon, you may indulge in a picnic amidst the stunning rock formations, where the only sounds are the whispers of the wind and the chirps of birds. As the sun begins to set, the gorge transforms into many colors.
Domestic tourism is real, and we are visiting our country and we are enjoying it. So anyone in diaspora, see you on the flip side. It was called Marafa Hell's Kitchen, but I think they decided to just call it Marafa Kitchen because, that hell name, I think they did away with it. When I was here before, I do remember, visiting here, but we were calling it that, Marafa Hell's Kitchen, but I'm updated that it's not called that anymore. So it's actually a mini Grand Canyon, and it is just amazingness of beauty, you know.
You are happy here?
I'm so happy, not alone with me.
What is your name?
Because I'm happy, Ivana.
So, consider Marafa and let the enchanting landscapes and romantic ambience of this natural wonder create a beautiful story that will be cherished for a lifetime. Chuma Odim, Magical Scenes in the county of Kilifi.
Yes, hello. Naongea na Jen.
Naongea na nani?
Yes, Jen. Tuko hapo kwako tunakata stima. Hii bili yako hujalipa.
Ai, kwani mnakata stima na Friday afternoon?
Yes, madam. Tunafanya kazi kila siku, lakini usikuwe na wasiwasi. Hapa tunaweza saidia.
When the deal is too good, think twice.
Lakini kitu moja inanishangaza na wewe.
Hii ni kuhatarisha maisha yenu nyi wenyewe na pia ya wale mnaenda kutokea kwa manyumba zao.
We are diving into the mind. Stay vigilant to get safely and legally connected to the power grid.
Koti hii imewapata na hatia, na mkiwa mkuridhika na uamuzi wa koti, mko na siku 14 za kurudisha apili.
Na kama kuna mtu anakupigia akidai ati kwamba uko na deni, kata hiyo simu haraka.
Oh, kumbe mlikuwa mnataka tu mniponye.
Tumekuja kuwashika, muda bosi utamulikwa. Tumekuja kuwashika.
Irene Muchuma there, showing us the beauty of hell. I'm talking about the Hell's Kitchen in Marafa. Manufacturers are being encouraged to transition to renewable energy sources to reduce operational cost and shield themselves from fuel price volatility. Principal Secretary for Energy Alex Washira says shifting from diesel-powered systems to cleaner alternatives such as biomass will not only enhance energy efficiency but also cut carbon emissions in line with the country's net zero ambitions by the year 2050. Washira was speaking during the launch of 5-ton per hour biomass boiler by animal feeds manufacturer Unga Farm Care East Africa. The transition is expected to reduce the company's steam generation cost by 45% and eliminate about 1.1 million litres of diesel annually.
As a ministry, what we are doing is to encourage innovators and businessmen to come up with such solutions. For us, we are going to give an enabling environment towards that.
It's also good to know that we are contributing just to more than ourselves. So we realize that the way in which some of the biomass is sourced is actually from farmers. So downstream, there's also the social agenda, which aligns to our ESG strategy.
Let's now talk about tourism, where the Ministry of Tourism is proposing a partnership with the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation as it expands its focus beyond tourism traditional circuits to tap into institutions that have significant cultural heritage. Speaking during the World Radio Week celebrations at the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation grounds, the Principal Secretary, State Department for Tourism, John Ololtua, says that the ministry conducts a national mapping of tourism attractions. KBC stands as a key partner in showcasing Kenya's tourism story.
As the world prepares to commemorate World Radio Day on Friday, the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation has gone a step further by turning the celebration into a full week of activities. The national broadcaster has opened its doors to the public, inviting Kenyans to tour its studios, interact with their favorite presenters, and experience firsthand the transformation of radio from its analog beginnings to today's digital and AI-driven era.
We are inviting the public to come to KBC, see what we do, get to meet their favorite presenters, and also celebrate with us.
Speaking during a visit to KBC, the Principal Secretary, State Department for Tourism, John Ololtua, lauded KBC's leadership for opening its doors to the public, allowing Kenyans to learn about the journey of broadcasting in the country.
It's actually the bedrock of our communication industry. Where we are today began somewhere small.
He also pledged the ministry's support in partnering with KBC as it undertakes a national mapping of tourism attractions.
And I think KBC has a rich history a cultural heritage, you know, and heritage that is in the field of communication, radio and communication, that I think they can be able to leverage on.
The week-long celebrations attracted listeners and visitors.
Najivunia KBC kwa sababu alikumbuka kitu nzuri sana.
Mariam reporting for the Prime Edition.
I mean, I tell you these, the whole of this week, it's been an amazing experience for thousands of radio listeners and, of course, fans of KBC radio stations, you know, from English service to Kiswahili, to Mayenga, to Shoro, and all the other radio stations. I mean, they've been streaming to Broadcasting House just to interact and experience radio and everything that pertains to radio. And remember, tomorrow is going to be the hallmark of this whole week. Your favorite program, one of the oldest programs on radio here in Kenya, the Sundowner, is going down tomorrow. It's going to be live here at KBC, so don't afford to miss this one out. Just come out tomorrow wearing your cowboy boots and cowboy hats as we celebrate Sundowner. Let's down now to international news, where the U.S. House of Representatives has voted to rescind U.S. President Donald Trump's tariff on Canada in a 219 to 211 vote. 6 Republican lawmakers joined Democrats to back a resolution that seeks to end the tariffs Trump imposed on Canada last year. Details of these and other stories next in our international news, business news roundup.
The vote is largely symbolic, as it will need to be approved by the U.S. Senate and then approved by Trump, who is very unlikely to sign it into law. Since his re-election, Donald Trump has imposed a series of tariffs on Canada, recently threatening a 100% import tax in response to Canada's proposed trade deal with China. The vote came after U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson, a Trump ally in Congress, unsuccessfully tried to block the discussion on the chamber's floor by lawmakers on Trump's tariffs. Trump's tariffs are also facing legal scrutiny, as the U.S. Supreme Court is set to rule soon on a case questioning the president's legal authority to impose the levies. Elsewhere, Russia has attempted to fully block WhatsApp in the country, the company said, as the Kremlin continues to tighten restrictions on messaging apps. Meta-owned WhatsApp said the move aimed to push more than 100 million of its app users in Russia to a state-owned surveillance app. Russian internet regulator Roskomnadzor said earlier this week that it was further curbing access to messaging app Telegram, as well as citing lack of security. Telegram is highly popular in Russia and widely used by its forces in Ukraine. Finally, Unilever has warned that 2026 sales growth could come in at the bottom end of its forecast range after a slowdown in the US and Europe, even as emerging markets delivered a fourth-quarter sales beat. After spinning off the Magnum ice cream company in December, CEO Fernando Fernandez is under pressure to show that Unilever's emphasis on personal care, beauty and well-being, which now account for more than half of turnover, is a winning strategy. The maker of Dove soaps and Hellmann's mayonnaise said it expects 2026 underlying sales growth at a lower end of its 4 to 6% multi-year guidance range due to softer market conditions.
Sahi, ukidial star 419 hash option 4 ama uingie kwa tushinde.com, hakuna probox. Jaribu.
Ni ukweli. Yaani nimeshaingia na ndio tunafieka. Pia inaona iko ndani.
Wanaongelea nini hao?
Ni shamba. Na sio moja, sio mbili, shamba 3 hapa Juja. Very nice.
Na ni area moja development na growth iko promising sana. Stima iko ndani.
Hiyo.
Maji inapatikana.
Wow.
Security iko sawa na all basic amenities zinapatikana.
Shamba ni 3 na kuingia kwa draw ili kujishindia moja kati ya shamba hizi 3 ni 35 bob pekee.
Na mtu akitaka zote 3,
iko special ticket ya kuweza kujishindia shamba zote 3 kwa tikiti moja ya 99 bob pekee. Hata hiyo, na barabara ni nywe mpaka kwa ploti yako, na kila ploti is worth 1.5 million Kenyan shillings. Hii 2026 hatuland tu, tunaland mara 3 na tushinde.com au star 419 hash option 4. Umesema vizuri sana.
Wewe fieka.
Na fieka.
Je, wewe ni mpenda soka? Na je, wajua kuwa KBC mwenzio wako wa dhati michezoni anakujali? Ndio maana KBC Channel 1 hukuletea taarifa na uchambuzi wa soka.
CAF ndio wamechukua usukani
humu nchini, barani Afrika na ugaibuni, ikiwemo EPL, Serie A, Bundesliga na ligi zingine. Mashabiki pia hutuzwa kwa kujibu maswali kuhusiana na soka.
Swali letu la leo.
Haya yote ni kwenye kipindi cha Dunda Dunda kwenye KBC Channel 1 kila Ijumaa kuanzia saa 5 asubuhi hadi saa 6:30 mchana.
Nawahimiza Wakenya waendelee watch Dunda Dunda show.
KBC, mwenzio wa dhati michezoni.
Our sports maestro, Bernard Okumu, is in the house. He's about to take us through the world of sports. Okumu, tomorrow, from tomorrow, is this Saturday? I mean, well, let me allow you to say this. The sevens are back.
Yes, the sevens, HSBC sevens, yes.
Yes, it is happening at Nyayo Stadium?
Yes, it is. That's on Saturday and Sunday. Yes, it's happening.
What's big about it?
I mean, this is one of the elite competitions in the rugby world. Remember that the previous seasons we've had Shujaa, right? The national men's team going, conquering the world. Remember when Nigeria and all those other players, stars of the youth. Yes, when they were playing, we used to even go on and win a leg in Singapore in 2016. Then maybe we dropped last year, but again, we're now fighting to get back there, you know. So this is exactly what's happening on Saturday and Sunday. The Shujaa, that's the men's team, and Lionesses, the women's team, they're all fighting to get another chance or a spot at the top tier of the rugby competition in the world. It's organized by the International Rugby Board, that's the IRB. So Shujaa and Lionesses, big task ahead of them this weekend. Will you be there, Brian?
Well, it was my desire, but I understand all the tickets were sold out.
Oh, then you know what you have to do?
Tell me, baby.
Stay locked, stay tuned in on KBC Channel 1. They'll be beaming the competition live. So you don't have to force your way to Nyayo or anything like that. And also those who will be going, they have the tickets. They don't have to go with their cars. Leave your cars at home. Just go to Nyayo and watch the matches.
And of course, you can watch it here on KBC, right?
Yes, of course. It will be live on KBC Channel 1, Saturday and Sunday. Right? That's beginning at 11 and up to later on in the evening at 5 p.m. That's when the action culminates.
Is that what we call a sweetheart deal?
Oh, it's Valentine's.
Take it up, man.
Thank you so much, Brian Kimani. Indeed, a lot of action this particular weekend. Let's begin with the Starlets' preparations for AUCON, where head coach Beldino Demba has named the 34 provisional squad in their build-up to the 2026 Women Africa Cup of Nations in South Africa. The team will report to camp this Sunday, the 15th of February, ahead of the tournament set to kick off from the 17th of March to 3rd of April this year.
10 players from recently concluded local-based mini-camp have earned provisional spots, including Police Bullets Anedi Kundu, Medina Abubakar and Lona Nyabuto. 8 players from the Kenya Under-20 side have been included as the technical bench continues to integrate the youth into the senior team. Elizabeth Ochaka, Lauren Ilavonga and Faisal Odhiambo are among those retaining their places, while Diana Ochol, Vida Lokeo and Lona Faith have received their first senior call-ups. Experienced duo Gentrix Shikangwa and Lona Nyorinda return to the national setup, adding depth and competition as the team builds up towards the NML final squad. Meanwhile, the Kenya Under-20 women's team Rising Starlets have stepped up training at Chemazi Complex ahead of their return leg against Tanzania in the 3rd round of the FIFA Under-20 qualifier, which will take place this Sunday. The team secured a hard-fought 1-0 victory over Tanzania in Nairobi and will be looking forward to register a win or a draw to progress to the next round.
Elsewhere, SportPesa has unveiled a 20 million Kenya shilling sponsorship package towards the 2026 Magical Kenya Open, reaffirming its commitment to the growth of sports and tourism in the country. The Magical Kenya Open remains one of the region's premier golfing event, attracting global attention and positioning Kenya as a key destination on the international golfing calendar.
Speaking during the announcement, SportPesa Chief Executive Officer Captain Ronald Karori said the company's continued investment in sports reflects its brand purpose of recognizing the stories behind excellence both on and off the course.
This, I think, is our grand entry into golf, and it's something we'll sustain for the years to come. We've spent a lot of money in football, now in boxing, across other sports, and even supporting sports from the grassroots.
He added that the sponsorship is part of his long-standing commitment to supporting sports development, promoting tourism, and strengthening Kenya's global sporting brand. The prestigious tournament will tee off from February 19th to 21st at the Karen Country Club, bringing together 144 elite golfers from around the world.
Each value is co-created specifically with each category partner that we have, so that they all get value out of the relationship that we have.
The championship is expected to feature competitors from 25 countries, including 10 Kenyan professional and amateur golfers. Among the Kenyan professionals set to fly the Kenyan flag high are Joroge Kibugu, Dismas Indiza, and Greg Snow. They will compete against a strong international field, including the past 5 winners of the tournament.
Birdie coming at number 6. It didn't take him long to get his second.
And over to soccer now. Kuta Collections FC are through to the round of 32 of the 2026 Mozartbet Cup after eliminating National Division 1 League side Al Aziz FC 6-5 on post-match penalties in a midweek match at the Kinoru Stadium. Now, the match ended 2-2 stalemate after Kuta Collections had taken an early 2-goal lead through Luke Namanda and Patrick Gunyi strikes. Melvin Mudomi pulled one back for Al Azizia. Zakaria Tisa drew the match level for from the penalty spot in the 9th minute of added time after Boaz Mairi had handled in the box. The penalty shootout that followed saw Kuta Collections triumphing 6-5. And the county government of Mombasa is upgrading sports facilities in the county as part of a broader strategy to nurture young talents and steer youth away from crime, drug and substance abuse. Now the move comes amid concerns that the shortage of adequate sports grounds is contributing to rising social vices among idle youth. The county is engaging institutions such as the Kenya Ports Authority to support the innovation of school playgrounds. The CCM further announced that the county government will cover club affiliation and registration fees for teams, and they have also put measures in place to facilitate transport for clubs traveling for away fixtures.
Vijana wa Mombasa wataingia uwanjani ili wamudu talanta zao za mipira na tuhakikishe kwamba hawa vijana wanaonekana nationally na internationally.
And across the borders now, where Manchester City continued with their recent run of good form by beating visitors Fulham 3-0 at the Etihad Stadium to keep their title hopes alive, while exerting pressure on the London rivals Arsenal, who play today away from home against Brentford at G-Tech Community Stadium. Now Manchester City's new signing, and Arsenal, of course, will have a chance to restore their 6-point lead when they play later today, actually from 11 p.m. against Brentford. Over to Germany now, where Harry Kane continued his scoring streak against RB Leipzig to fire Bayern Munich into the German Cup semi-finals. For the first time in 6 years, Kane converted a penalty for his 6th goal in 4 cup games to take his tally to 39 goals in 34 matches before former Liverpool winger Luis Diaz scored their second for the 2-0 victory.
It's been 6 years since Bayern last won the DFB Pokal. In that time, Leipzig have won it twice, a heavyweight quarter-final ahead at the Allianz Arena. That's as they've been on 20 occasions winners of the Cup. Olise in towards Harry Kane. Quarter-finals, 11 goals from 3 games in the Cup they've scored as well. Here's Nusa for David Raum, and Raum thwarted by Manuel Neuer. Here's Upamecano, and long for Stanisic. Oh, there's a slip from the goalkeeper, and Van der Vaart could be in trouble here. It's going to be a Bayern penalty. Harry Kane has missed in the Cup before, not on this occasion. Faultless in the Bundesliga, faultless here tonight. 39 goals in 34 games in all competitions for Harry Kane now this season. And here's Luis Diaz. They're in again. They're going to score again.
And that's all from me. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Bernardo Kuma. Take you back to O'Brien.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Okumu, for taking us through the world of sport and, of course, helping us understand what's happening. The 7th games that are happening on Saturday and Sunday at Nyayo National Stadium. And of course, it's important to tell people that the games are going to be live here on KBC Channel 1. Thank you very much indeed, Bernard. Well, we've taken you and served you the whole cocktail of news, from health to politics to business to sports, and of course, to everything else there in between. You have been watching the Prime Edition with me, O'Brien Kimani. Thank you very much indeed for your time. We'll see you again next week. Until then, have yourself a good night.
Sahi, ukidial *419# option 4 ama uingie kwa tushinde.com, hakuna probox. Jaribu.
Ni ukweli. Yaani nimeshaingia na ndio tunafyeka.